up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Different Covers. Again, my name is Christopher Kidd, your host. Last week, we opened up the season with the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL, and I had Ashley Nicole on, and that was a pretty fun episode, really fun episode. I'd like to thank all you guys out there for rocking with me on my first one of Different Covers. Of course, you saw that one with Julio Jones, and of course, Julio did not disappoint. He carved the Seahawks up quite a bit, and it was fun to watch. But I wanted to take a different step this week, and I want to look at cornerbacks because, we just did our top 5 wide receivers. Why not look at our top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL? And if you've been rocking with me, watching my Seahawks stuff with my friend, who you guys see at the bottom here, special guest Mike Dugar, yes, then indeed you know that we've had a long discussion about top 10 route runners in the NFL, and that discussion has gone back and forth. And you know what? I think maybe in the future we will drop an episode with our top 10 route runners, and I want to add some video elements so you guys can see what routes we're talking about. That way you're not just looking at a screen of him and I the whole time, but that's definitely something that I think we can definitely get done. But today it's going to be literally all about cornerbacks. But first, let's bring on Mike, man. Mike, what is up?
What's happening, man? What's going on?
Man, not much. Another day, another dollar. How was practice today for you, man?
No, but I'm not gonna lie. This is giving away the game to Seahawks fans. I haven't been to practice in like 2 weeks. Not even gonna lie to you. For the first week, I didn't have a working car, and then I bought a car, and I just decided that it wasn't worth it. My nose needed a break from all of the COVID tests that you have to get in order to get into the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. So I said, forget about it.
No, I feel it. And for those that don't know, Mike Dugar is the writer for The Athletic. He covers Seattle Seahawks. And we also do a podcast together called Seahawks Man to Man, which is exclusive insight on the Seahawks, interviewing players, talking to other journalists about the Seahawks, and previewing different matchups. But today is all about the cornerback position because, hey, for one, that's something that we both are in tune in. We both enjoy discussing DBs. We both love discussing wide receivers and the battle between those guys. So today we're going to kickstart the thing of the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL. And Mike, I'm going to let you start this thing off, and I want to hear who is number 5 coming in.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Arizona's Patrick Peterson. I think he's like 30, I think, but man, he's one of those dudes where I'm very sure that he has been the most athletic player on the field for his entire life. I mean, going to like Pop Warner. I don't know where he's from, but is it probably Pop Warner, high school, college. I believe he's an LSU DB, and those guys are disgustingly good. I think 2 of my 5 actually are top 5 in the league right now are former LSU players. Like the way Patrick Peterson can just take someone out of a game with not only just smarts. I think smarts is where someone like Sherm or even like a Marcus Peters gets by, but I think it's just the athleticism is ridiculous, man. Like watching Patrick Peterson last year shadow DK Metcalf, and just I don't think DK had a catch. I think that might have been the only game last year DK Metcalf didn't have a catch. Week 16 here in Seattle against the Cardinals, where the Seahawks got dusted, and it's ridiculous. But go look at some of Patrick Peterson's like best interceptions too. Like the dude can just like he one hand stuff like he's Odell. Like I don't know what you think about this, Chris, but I would guess there's probably like 9 players in the league right now who could play both sides of the ball, whether they could be a corner, be receiver, or a tight end, be D-line, whatever, or vice versa. I think Patrick is one of them, and probably would be one of the best at it, I believe. Dude is still shut down. He's next level.
So the PEDs didn't slow you down, Mike?
No. You didn't ask me my top 5 like most ethical cornerbacks. You asked me guys getting it done. I don't really care what they do in their spare time. This is a production-based discussion here. Like I'm not gonna get holier than thou. If you ball, you get the call. As how Prime says it, like that's it.
So in Mike's case, if you ball, you get the call. In that situation, it appears that he's taking Patrick Peterson with the Arizona Cardinals at number 5. I think I'm gonna shock a lot of people with my number 5 because A, he's young, and B, he's still figuring things out. And I would say he is a dominant man defender. But when it comes to zone coverages, it's like, I'm going to go with the Ravens, Marvin Humphrey, 24 years old, as I mentioned before. Again, he's a great man-to-man defender, but he's still raw. But the good news is they lose Earl Thomas, and now that means he's going to get a lot more shine. People are going to test him more, and I think he's going to have a breakout year. Not to mention, he got his first interception, Mike, and guess what coverage he was in?
Well, he was manned up?
No, he was in zone.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Shout out to Calais Campbell. He did get the tip, but he was in the right place at the right time and he made a play. So to start the season off, he has one interception and he was in zone. I just think he's going to improve with that zone defense. And I just think he's going to be a guy in the next few years that's elite and one of the best in the league. But right now, I'm going with Ravens, Marlon Humphrey at my number 5 spot. Sorry, Patrick Peterson. I know Mike mentioned you're about 30 years old. You're still dominant. I'll probably put you definitely in the top 10, but I got to give it to the young fella, Marlon Humphrey, man. So who you got number 4, Mike?
I will say before I go to number 4, the best news for any cornerback in the AFC North is that Baker Mayfield is a starter. Right, because I believe that's who Marlon picked off in week 1, right?
Correct.
Last year was my first time seeing Baker Mayfield live, and I believe he threw 3 interceptions in that game. 1 to Trey Flowers, another to Bradley McDougald. Maybe it was just 2. But I mean, dude was just a turnover machine. So that's great news for Marlon and Marcus Peters and Joe Hayden and Minka Fitzpatrick in Pittsburgh. Joe Hayden. Right. Pittsburgh as well. Just if you're AFC DB, chances are you get to play Baker. That's good news. Now I'm saying this after Baker carved up the Bengals, but it's the Bengals.
The Bengals,
yeah. That doesn't count. So I mean that's good news for all Ravens. I think when I don't knock corners when they feast on the bad quarterbacks. I think that's what you should do. Yeah, like guys knock like if you got a bunch of picks against Jameis or Fitzpatrick, or last year you got a bunch of picks against Luke Falk because you paid the Patriots or paid the Jets. Man, good for you. You're supposed to catch the ball and you're supposed to dominate those bad players. When you're a great player, that's what you do. Like I don't knock a defensive end who got a bunch of his sacks against bad lines. You're supposed to, right? Like that. So with all that said, at number 4. I will go with the guy who does not play in a division that's been friendly to cornerbacks, and that's Marshawn Lattimore of the New Orleans Saints. Because in that division, you're going against Julio and Mike Evans. What's that? 4 out of your 16 games right there is 2 of the biggest, strong. Like those dudes just catch everything, man. So Marshawn has been really good. He's good from the jump too. I think he was Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2017. Like he's just a baller, man. Like he's one of those guys who comes from a DB factory too. I think he's Ohio State. Those dudes are usually studs as well, just like the LSU guys. Marshawn, physical cat. I mean, really, here's the case for Marshawn, right? His name is Marshawn, right? And because I'm from Seattle, I am partial to guys named Marshawn just because of Beast Mode. B, Chris, you love watching the top 100 players list that they have every summer, right? Like I know you watched this most recent one in July when Mike Evans came up. Yeah. I think the producer was like, yeah, Marshawn Lattimore had a good game against you, and Mike Evans got all in his feelings. He was like, no, their defense had a good team against me. It was like, meanwhile, Mike Evans didn't have a catch against Marshawn Lattimore. I don't think in either game against the Saints, but for sure one of them, at least the one in New Orleans, I think he held him without a catch. And then what do you know? Saints Bucks, week 1, 2020. Mike Evans has how many catches? And he was on against a linebacker on the goal line. I think I hit you after he did that because they had a linebacker against Mike Evans on the goal line. But yeah, again, matched up with Marshawn, 0 catches, right? Like, and that's hard. Mike Evans is a baller. It's hard to hold him to 0 like that. So yeah, he's been really good in a really tough division when you have to guard Julio and Mike Evans. Yeah, man, he gets his hands on the ball. It's just really hard to make plays against him. And like, even if you catch it, it's hard to make like explosive plays against it. And that's for everyone on both of our lists, I would imagine. It's just hard to really, even if you catch a ball, it's hard to have those big explosive game-breaking plays. So yeah, Marshawn's my 4.
Okay. I'm going to probably surprise you here with my number 4. I'm going to go with Tre'Davious White, DB, Buffalo Bills. He had 6 interceptions last season. That tied he was tied up there with Stephon Gilmore. He had 6. And he is really talented. He can take on your tight end, He can go all over the field, and they use him that way. I remember when he went up against Gronk, and he's getting the best of Gronk, and Gronk kind of gave him a shoulder to the back of the head. That's what type of player Tre'Davious White is. He's going to get under your skin. He's going to play ball. I mean, his first 3 seasons, he had 12 interceptions. So you want to talk about a guy that's able to get to the ball. he is definitely in that conversation, and that's why he falls to the number 4 spot. And he's just so talented as a young guy in this NFL. I'm excited to see what he's going to do this season and moving forward. And you want to talk about quarterbacks in the AFC? Well, yeah, he's going to be a part of that discussion where he can definitely make plays and pick off these bad quarterbacks that are there. Which again, Baker Mayfield, we know he's been struggling. He did do okay against the Eagles last Thursday night, but we'll see what happens with Trey Day as the season goes on. You ready for number 3, man?
Yes, and that's another division where the quarterbacks in the AFC East are doing favors. Because I mean, we're both Wazoo grads. I love Luke Falk, but he was very bad in the NFL, right? Last year, starting for the Jets. Sam Darnold is very bad starting for the Jets. Who else in the AFC East? Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick was starting last year. He'll throw the ball to the other team in a heartbeat. I believe he did twice in week 1. Who's the other one? Oh, Tom Brady ain't got it no more. So, I mean, that's Trey White. Also, you get your hands on the ball when you play bad guys. And I don't know if those are the only people he picked off. I'd have to go look. But it's hard to get your hands on the ball 6 times, in this league. And it's not all just interceptions. I think PBUs are important.
Pass breakups, because I don't know.
Yeah, pass breakups or passes defense is how it shows up in the box score a lot of the time. So, yeah, these guys are in some divisions where it's definitely helping out. But, I mean, the game in general is slanted in favor of offense. So, like, all of these guys to get their hands on the ball as often as they are, man, that's impressive, man.
So who you got number 3, Mike?
My number 3.
Getting tough, isn't it?
I'll go with Trey White. That he's got an argument to be number 1, to be honest. Like he's the top 3 is all like relatively interchangeable, I believe. He can do it all too, and he's physical too, and he's one of those dudes. I think all of the guys in my top 5, I think they like have the same characteristic in that they feel like insulted when you throw the ball at them, and they take the elite challenges as like they take them personal. Like you mentioned going against Gronk. I could say the same thing for like all of these guys. Like when coach says, "Hey, you got him," he's like, "Bet, I got it," and he gets nothing. Of course, all cornerbacks get beat, whatever, But the way he's been able to use that kind of mentality and physicality to then turn out, productive seasons. And, Buffalo's got a really good defense, and he's a big part of why they have a really good defense. And he's been good, I believe, since the jump. I think he's a 2017 guy as well. I think most of these guys we're talking about 2017 maybe. But that was a good year for cornerbacks. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Trey White for a lot of those reasons you said as well.
Perfect. Number 3, you've already mentioned. So this is kind of going to be a recap. I'm going to go with Marshawn Lattimore. Again, another physical guy, another young guy. He's never afraid of a challenge. You mentioned the fact that his rookie season, he was running against Julio. He didn't even break down. That's the type of guy I want on my team. And he's just fun to watch. I mean, I get it. Interceptions might be an issue. He only had 1 last year. But you know what? You brought up PBU, pass. I can't even get it right. Pass defense, pass breakup, PBU. He is knocking all types of passes down. And that says one thing. You can't throw him. You might not intercept the ball, but you're also not completing the pass against him. If I'm not mistaken, he allowed a 50% completion rate last week on 88 targets. You might want to stop throwing at his side. He's literally taking that step where it's like, we can't throw on that side. Let's just go to this side. It's not worth our time. We know he's going to shut down our best receiver. I mean, we can use him as a distraction and try to get someone else open, but for the most part, Marshawn Lattimore shuts it down.
Yeah, man. I like Lattimore, man. That was a good draft for the Saints, man. I think they drafted the defensive rookie of the year and the offensive rookie of the year in the same draft.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was ridiculous. I remember the 2017 draft just being really good for quarterbacks, and I'm pretty sure it was good for running backs too. I think that's why we're seeing a bunch of all these contracts we're seeing now. I think Trey White just got paid. Jalen Ramsey just got paid. Oh, he's 2016, but there's been some guys from that class that are getting paid. All the running backs and cornerbacks from that draft are getting paid. Those are some studs in there.
Really, some serious studs. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, Mike, where it gets real picky. Who is coming in for your number 2 cornerback in the NFL? And I'm sure we might tie here, but let me hear what you got, man.
Yeah, we're getting nitpicky here because, I mean, like I said, the top 3 is really interchangeable. I'm going to go with Jalen Ramsay. I think he's probably the biggest badass out of all the cornerbacks on my list because, like, he just plays like he don't like you. Like, even if he shakes your hand after the game, he might, though. I don't know. I remember first like noticing Jalen Ramsey. I remember who he was at Florida State, but I feel like he wasn't like just a corner at Florida State. I feel like he played everything there. He was one of those like Jabril Peppers, Tyrann Mathieu kind of, we're just gonna have you do everything type of guys. So they had to figure out a spot for in the NFL. But I remember him going against Steve Smith of the Panthers his first year and being like, yo, who's in whose head? Like, you know, that infamous, like, you tell me interview that he had. Like, yeah, he was about that from the jump and backing it up too. Like, he's the ultimate, like, trash talker. Like, hey, this dude is sorry, whatever. But then he backs it up too. Like, that's what the thing about Richard Sherman, who's on neither of our lists, but the thing that made him so great in part and made him a superstar was that not only would he tell your receiver that he sucked, he would tell your quarterback that he sucked as well. He would then go prove why you suck because you could not throw it on him. He would tackle you. He would make sure that you didn't even think about throwing it at him.
Facts.
And Jalen's just a freak athlete too. But he and Patrick are probably the two freakiest like athletes in terms of the cornerback position because Jalen's made some plays too that you can only make when you're built like he is and can move like he can move. I think Jalen's like 6'3" or something like that.
6'1".
Yeah, 6'1".
Yeah,
he's smaller than I thought. He's a physical cat too. Like he gets just as pumped to knock a ball down as he does to just like run fit. Like he and actually he's probably the most well-rounded in that regard. That he'll also be a good like run defender, or he'll just light up a receiver. I think he lit up someone on Sunday Night Football.
Still there, Mike? Oh, might have lost Mike for a second. I will bring him back on when we get a connection. But yeah, I'm actually going to say that for my number 2 is also Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen has been dominant pretty much his whole career. I know last season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, it was a little rough. You know, it didn't work out the way he wanted to. I think Mike's back. Let's see. Mike, you back?
Yep.
Here we go. No worries, man. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Jalen Ramsey's number 2 on my list as well. You mentioned Richard Sherman. I want to touch on as well because he barks at other players. This is Richard Sherman. He's able to back it up every play. And he's exciting to watch. He reminds me a little bit of Marcus Peters, but Marcus Peters is more gutta, and Marcus Peters is from the hood, and he's not afraid to put his mind. I remember a game with Marcus Peters when a fan was talking crazy to him, and he was like, "Oh, you can see about it right now. Like, what's really good?" And I just Jalen Ramsey has everybody. He has everyone's skill set intertwined, and at 6'1", 210, the guy is a stud, and the Rams are lucky to have him. And I think this season is going to take the next step. I know, as I mentioned last year, with the Jags, things were a mess. He never really got the groove of things with the Rams, but I think this year, full season for his belt, he is going to be a problem, and I think he's going to end up trying to get that number 1 spot real soon because we don't know who number 1 is. Right? So why don't you go ahead and go through the number 1 quarterback in the NFL is?
It's the reigning defensive player of the year, and Stephon Gilmore, man. The dude is just he's nasty, man. You look at his feet, the way his feet is ridiculous. Like he's one of the guys. All the best guys on this list can do that, but he's one of the dudes. He'll run the route for you.
Yes.
Like I know where you're going. I'm gonna beat you there, and if the ball comes, it's mine. He's one of those dudes as well. All these guys are, but Stephon's probably in the best spot right now, at least because he had the best 2019 too. And Jalen was good in 2019, but when you're someplace you hate being like Jacksonville and just get dumped out of there, it's a little different. But Stephon's one of those dudes where if you make a mistake and your ball placement is not where it should be, he will take advantage of that. Like that is where you will go wrong. If the ball's not on time, if it's too high, if it's too low, if it's behind, like if it's tipped, it's a problem. Like he'll make you pay, and he probably makes you pay, at least right now, better than anyone else in the league outside of Marcus Peters, but I don't think he's consistent enough to be
much.
Stephon is, because Stephon's more like in terms of consistency is boom right there, whereas Marcus Peters is probably the best ball hawk in the league. Yeah. But Stephon is probably the combination of like consistency. Probably could be in any scheme and excel. You could drop him on the worst defense in the league, and like they would immediately increase their deficiency by a lot, just because there'd be one side of the field that people can't throw to. Now, there's no one is like at Revis Island territory. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. Sherm is the closest thing, prime Richard Sherman. But Stephon could probably do it because he's just that good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. We're going with Stephon Gilmore, number one. It's crazy because you guys listen to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. Mike and I don't always agree, but here we are agreeing on our top 5 corners that number one is definitely Stephon Gilmore, a veteran in this league. He is the oldest out of this bunch at 29 years old, or actually second oldest because Patrick Peterson's 30 pretty much. But yeah, 6 interceptions last season that tied with Tre'Davious White with the Bills. And you know what? He's also good at breaking up passes. I believe he had back-to-back seasons of 20 pass breakups, and that's hard to do. You do it one year and you come back and do it next year, not to mention you get 6 interceptions in that same year. I don't know why people are throwing on this guy. It tells you on your scouting report, hey, that guy over there is pretty good. Maybe we should have. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Seahawks try to attack him on Sunday Night Football. Again, Mike covers the Seattle Seahawks with the Athletic. Mike, how is that matchup, before we get out of here, how is that matchup going to come up with Stephon Gilmore and the Seahawks have to offer with Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and that receiving core?
The thing about Russell is, like, he's very calculated. The reason he's so efficient and doesn't turn the ball over is because he knows when to take shots at the best in the business. I think, like, in 2018, he only targeted Richard Sherman, like, twice. And I think one of those is in, like, zone coverage. One of them was a touchdown, but I think it was on, like, a broken play. Like last year, I think he targeted Sherm like once or twice, maybe. He didn't really throw at Patrick Peterson a lot. He only threw at Jalen Ramsay a couple times. Like, he knows to avoid the dude to make him pay for making mistakes. That said, I think I wrote in the Athletic on Friday morning that one of the keys to a key to victory for the Patriots is for Stephon to take DK Metcalf out of the game completely. Like, deep ball, knock it down. Big third down, get off the field. Like, he doesn't have to shut him down like Patrick Peterson did in week 16, but I think the key will be like making sure that Seattle can't throw the ball downfield, right? And a part of that is DK. And if Stephon could take that away, then that'll be what leads to a Patriots victory. Like, if this is one of those games where DK has like 2 catches for 24 yards or something like that, Seahawks probably lose, right? And if Stephon gets his hand on the ball, they probably definitely lose. So that does make sense. But they will most likely lose, I think. I don't know if Stephon will get his hands on the ball, but Russ is going to give him the opportunity at least once or twice. And if he takes advantage of it, I think it's going to be trouble.
Trouble. Well, Mike, I want to thank you again for rocking with me on different covers, man. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to add, stories that are coming up soon on the Athletic you got, man?
I don't know if there's a story I want to plug yet, because if I tease the one I'm working on, that'll be a problem. But I will say a problem in a good way, I think. I would hope. But I will say that I am taking over the Athletics Instagram page ahead of Sunday Night Football. So I'll probably start around like 3 o'clock, 3:30. Go to the Athletic. Our Instagram handle is Athletic HQ. You can follow me at Dugar Mike as well. It's just my name flipped. But I'll be taking over the Athletics official Instagram page Sunday leading up to pregame, all that stuff. You can see how I get down before the game starts. And once it's game time, it's on. But the hours before that, come rock with me.
Come rock with them. All right, man. Well, other than that, thank you again for rocking with us. We appreciate it. And we will catch you guys next week with a new episode of Different Covers. Again, it's your host, Christopher Kidd, joined by my boy Mike Dugar of The Athletic. We will catch y'all later. We out.